Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Everybody has their doubts, but you can't stop now. You just gotta live.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kristen and I'm so excited that you're here. I make videos to encourage you, empower you to be more and not less in this world, and most importantly, to have fun because this beautiful life is meant to be enjoyed. So I'm so excited for today's video. It is the first of 4 videos that are probably going to be my absolute favorite on this channel because it is a topic that I could talk about for hours and hours, and I probably would unless someone stopped me, aka me, editing this video. But it is the Disney College Program. Now, I did the Disney College Program back in fall of 2018, so almost 2 years ago. Actually, August 13th is my 2-year anniversary of when I started my college program, and it was the absolute best 5 months of my life. Now, I do have a video that'll be coming out in a few weeks about my experience, and so I'll go into more detail on all of that. But today's video is just to give you the rundown, the basics on the Disney College Program, what it is, how to apply, and all of that good stuff. So, for those of you who don't know, the Disney College Program is kind of just what it sounds like. You go to Disney, either Disney World in Florida or Disneyland in California, and you work in the theme parks. Ta-da! No, of course there's so much more to it, but it's essentially that. It is a program for people who are in college but it's just that. It's a program for people who are in college or just recently graduated, and you go to either California or Florida, you live out right by the parks, you work in the parks, and you can also take classes if you need that for graduation. It is so much fun. It is honestly a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it is the most magical thing ever because you are actually part of the Disney magic. You're creating magic in the parks, and it is so amazing. Such a great opportunity. I do want to take this disclaimer to say I know that the Disney College Program currently was canceled this fall for both Disney World and Disneyland due to everything going on with COVID. I don't know if they're going to bring it back or when they're going to bring it back, and I am crossing like every single limb of my body that they do bring it back because college students deserve this opportunity to get this amazing best moment of your life experience. With that said, I'm still putting out this content because I want to inform people, and I remember when I was applying, I was trying to look for all those kinds of content as well, and so when they do open up, I hope this will help you who decide to apply, and you know, until then, it will just give you something to look forward to. Okay, so as I was editing, I realized I forgot to put the requirements up here, so here they are. You guys can pause and look at them. Okay, so the basics. We mentioned it could either be in Disney World or Disneyland. Now on your application, that is what you will select, and you can select both of them. You can see either just Disneyland, just Disney World, or apply to both of them. Now, Disneyland is smaller because it's a smaller park. They only have 2 parks in Disneyland, and Disney World has 4 parks plus Disney Springs. So there's more opportunities in Disney World, more people get accepted into Disney World, but I worked with people on my college program who had done programs in Disneyland and then went to Disney World. So it's very possible to get into Disneyland still. Another difference obviously is the location. I didn't want to go live and work in California, so I didn't pick Disneyland. I picked just Disney World. But if you hate Florida and you like California, then just do Disneyland. If you don't care, do both. You're not going to be penalized for like only picking one park. Go pick based on the location and just maybe your interest level, because I love Disney World and I knew I wanted to go to Disney World. The second basic is the time frame. So there are certain specific, there's either the fall program or the spring program. Fall program, you arrive sometime in the middle to end of August, maybe the first week of September, and then you leave the first week of January. That's the program I did. Spring, I believe you show up at like the beginning of February and leave in May. Since I didn't do the program, I'm not sure, but I believe that's the dates right there. It's about 5 months either way. Now for Disney World, there is a thing called the Advantage program, either Fall Advantage or Spring Advantage. And all it does is it literally just adds extra months onto your program. So for Fall Advantage, you would go from end of May / early June through January as opposed to August through January. So you just get some few months at the beginning of your program. And then for Spring Advantage, you actually stay longer. So you would stay January or February through July instead of through just May. So you get extra months at the end of your program. Again, that's only Walt Disney World. And then the last basic for the Disney College program is just kind of like the three parts that they incorporate. So they say it's living, learning, and earning. Of course, living, you will live near the parks about 20 to 25 minutes away. There is company sponsored housing, which I'll get to in another video. Then the learning part is if you need the college credit, you can take classes, or they have some classes that are just for fun as well. And then earning, of course, you are working in the parks earning money. So that's Disney College program and what it is. Now we're gonna get into the roles. The reason they're called roles is because Disney sees their employees, they call them cast members, because they see that they're putting on a show and a performance for their guests. So I guess I should go through the Disney lingo real quick. Cast members equal employees, guests equal the customers in the park, and roles are your jobs within the park. So there are slightly different roles for Disney World and Disneyland, and I'm going to go over both of them. But of course, you can always do more research by just searching or going on the Disney College Program website, where they'll give you a summary and more information about each individual role. For the roles, both parks put them into 5 different sections: operations, recreation, retail and sales, lodging, and food and beverage. So for Disneyland, for the operations, they have attractions, custodial, resort transportation and parking, and park greeter. Attractions, you obviously are working the actual attractions, which is what they call their rides. Custodial, you're going around the park, taking out the trash, sweeping, cleaning things up. Resort transportation and parking, you're going to be working, the bus stops that bring people in from the resorts and the parking lots that they choose to drive themselves. And then lastly, for park greeter, you're going to be the ones at the front of the parks, making sure people can scan in correctly, just greeting them, welcoming them, kind of being the first smiling faces they see at their experience. For entertainment, they have cast costuming and entertainment costuming. Cast costuming means you work on the costumes that cast members have to wear, which is what you just call your outfit, again, part of the lingo. And entertainment costuming means you work on the costumes for the entertainment, the performers, and things like that. For lodging, you can be Disney Desk or Guest Services Assistant. Disney Desk is just the front desk people checking people in at the different resorts. And Guest Service Assistant is customer service for the resorts and lodging. For food and beverage, you can be custodial busser, food cart cashier, food prep, quick service food and beverage cashier, and food and beverage quick service restaurants. These are pretty self-explanatory. The only thing with food and beverage is the quick service are going to be like the lines where you can just walk up and pay and get your food, and the more restaurants are going to be things where you can like sit down and get served, which there are very few. Most things within Disney are quick service. And then the carts are different. Like the quick service is at least a restaurant building, and then the carts are just carts they see all around the park. For retail and sales, you can be a retail clerk or a Disney vacation planner. So you can work in the merchandise stores as the retail person, or Disney vacation planner, actually plan the vacation. And then lastly, recreation is a lifeguard at any of the pools. Now moving on to Disney World. Some of the roles are the same, but there's actually quite a few that are different in Disney World than in Disneyland. So let's jump into Disney World roles. For operations, it can be attractions, convention guide, custodial, monorail, photopass photographer, watercraft, or skyline gondola, which is a new one. Convention guides essentially work on events, or even like if there's special guests or large groups throughout the park that you're trying to bring through the park, they'll help on that as well. Monorail means you're helping guests, get in and out of the monorail. Photopass photographer are the people with the cameras all throughout the park that take pictures. For example, like the character meet and greets, there's photopass photographers is there. Watercraft is another way you can get into the parks is through the boat, and there are different boats, and so you can work on those. And Skyliner gondola is new because the Skyliner is new. It's things that take you from park to park sometimes, and so I guess now you can help operate those as well. For entertainment, there's costuming operations, which is the exact same as we mentioned in Disneyland, working on cast and entertainment costuming. But for Disney World, there's also character attendant and character performer. Character attendant are the people that you see, when Winnie the Pooh is going backstage to get some honey, or when Mickey Mouse is gonna go take a nap, and you see the people walking the characters off from wherever they were. That's a character attendant. You're just there to help the characters get around the park, get to the spot that they need. Character performer, it's just like it sounds. You're part of the entertainment. You could be performing on all the way array of the spectrum. Now, I will say for character performer, you do have to audition. I'm not quite sure about that process because I never did it, but there's a ton of information online. Still put it onto your application, but you have to go to the various auditions across the country in order to be considered for that role. For lodging, there's bell service / dispatch greeter, front desk, and house cleaning. And those are pretty much what you would expect in a normal role at lodging, either greeting people and taking their luggage places, being at the front desk, or cleaning the resort rooms. For food beverage, you can either be a seater or work in quick service food and beverage. So the seater is pretty much like the hostess that takes people and brings them to their table and figures all that out. And then quick service food and beverage, they just kind of lump all the roles into that category, and you'll find out later which one you would be at. For retail and sales, you can also be merchandise again, vacation planner, or work at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique / the Pirates League, which is only at Walt Disney World. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is in the first level of the castle, and it's where little kids can go and get dressed up and made up and have their nails done and their hair done and wear a princess dress. And the Pirates League is over in Adventureland, and little kids can go and get dressed up and made up like a pirate. And then for recreation, children's activities, lifeguard, or recreations attractions. Children's activities at some of the resorts and places throughout the parks, they have activities like just for children, so you would work there. And recreations attractions is there some, I think at some resorts or some places you can like rent boats or little pedal boats or something, and so you'd work around those. So real quick, the application process, it comes out this season before the one you're applying for. So if you're applying for the fall season, it comes out that spring. And if you're applying for the spring season, it comes out in the fall. For example, when I applied to the fall 2018 program, I arrived in August, but I applied, applications dropped the last week of January. And the one time I did apply for a spring program, the applications, I believe, dropped like first week of October or something, or maybe last week of September. So the season before the one you're applying for is when applications will drop. They're open for 3 to 4 months, depending on the time frame. They're not going to penalize you if you apply the last day versus the first day. The only benefit of applying earlier is that they may have more availability, but truly you can apply any time in the process and they're going to look at you the same way. So there's a 3-step process for applying to the Disney College program.
So here's the website you would go to apply for the Disney College program. The URL is right up there. You can type it in, but when you go to the page now, you just see this little thing. Since they don't have the applications open, you can sign up for updates when they do open.
Step 1 is the basic application. And here you are literally just providing, like you would on a normal job application. You have your resume, they'll ask about, your college and your work experience, what college you attend, things like that. Here's where you also will say whether you're interested in Disney World, Disneyland, or both. You will also put what roles you are interested in and the level at which you're interested in. So for every single role, it will have the role and then a little drop-down box. So attractions, drop-down box, character attendant, drop-down box, custodial, drop-down box. And on that box, when you click it, you can put not interested, low interest, medium interest, high interest. And essentially, this is just them trying to understand what roles you're interested in and what roles you aren't interested in. And there is no shame in not being interested in a role, especially if if you can't swim, don't be a lifeguard. If you don't want to work around food at all, or if you have a lot of allergies around food, don't pick quick service food and beverage. This is really just them trying to gauge what you're interested in so that they can put you in a role that you're interested in and that you're going to be a best fit for. Next section, I'm going to get into recommendations and advice for each of these sections, but real quick,
One, just know that any role that you put even slight interest in, they will consider you for. They're not necessarily going to give you your high interest just because you're highly interested in it. They're going to look at what you want, yes, but also what they need filled and what you're best fitted for. Then once you submit that application, you will get a email in some amount of time afterwards for round 2. And that is the web-based interview, or the WBI. This is a self-paced little test online that you go through, and it puts you in different scenarios and situations to see how you would react, or kind of like your personality and your characteristics. So for example, it might say, you are an on-time person. This is not like me, kind of like me, really like me, that kind of thing. Or it might give you a scenario and be like, a guest dropped their ice cream cone and the kid is crying. Which of these 4 options would you choose to respond? Like, how would you respond? And this is really just trying to understand your personality, who you are, and if you'd be a good fit for the program. I think that takes about 15 to 20 minutes, I believe. Now, as soon as you submit that, like you push the submit button, loading circle is waiting, right after that, it will either tell you you're no longer in consideration, or it will tell you that they're interested and now you gotta go schedule a phone interview. And then that means the 3rd round is a phone interview. They'll give you a couple days you can pick between, and a couple times in those days. I think it's like a 3-range day, between these Monday and Wednesday on this week, and here's multiple times. You can pick the time and the day that works the best for you, and interviews are 30 minutes long. So that's really it. It's just those 3 steps. And then after you finish your phone interview, it is the waiting process for if you'll be accepted or not. So now I want to jump into some advice/recommendations I would give for each step of the interview process. For round 1. The biggest thing I have around here is, again, those roles. So I actually applied to the Disney College program to do the spring 2018 program, and I ended up getting in. However, the way my class schedule worked, I would have to push off graduation if I did the spring program, and I did not want to do that, so I had to end up declining the spring program so I could graduate, and I ended up doing the fall, ended up getting in, which was awesome. But I did learn a crucial lesson, is that even if you put low interest, they could give it to you. So I put merchandise as low interest. I wasn't really interested in it, but I knew I had experience as working at Old Navy in high school, so I just thought, okay, I'll put it as low interest, but they're gonna listen to my high interest ones. And again, they're not out to get you. They want to put you somewhere where you want, but they assume if you put low interest that you still have some interest for it, and obviously with my skills and my background, that was a good fit for me. I learned that, so then the second time around, I knew I really didn't actually want merchandise, and so I put no interest for that, and I only put mid to high interest of the 3 roles that I was interested in. So my advice here is to go through the roles, spend some time researching them, see if you can find blogs or content on that specific role to really understand if A, it'd be something you would enjoy, and B, was something that you could actually do. And yes, there could be some pros and cons to picking more versus less. They're not going to penalize you because you pick less, and they're not going to think, oh, you're not interested in the program. But if you pick more roles, you don't know when you're applying what they have available. They only have X number amount of attractions, and everyone wants attractions, so they can only give a certain number. Whereas if you put attractions and merchandise, they might be able to give you merchandise if attractions is full. So yes, you might have more availability to get accepted if you put more roles, but you have to decide if it's worth it to do the program on a role you're not interested in. And for me, I would rather not do the program than do a program on a role that I just did not like and did not want to do. However, I will say, actually, research and try and find some stuff about the roles, because I knew people who were in custodial who absolutely loved it, because you could roam the park, you got so much guest interaction, and they actually enjoyed that role. So don't think, oh, custodial is gross, I'm not doing that. Just really think, what would I be interested in, and be 100% honest with yourself and say, do I just want to get into the program at all costs? If so, I'm going to put all these roles that I'm able to do. Or would I rather do the program but only the roles I want to do and risk maybe not getting into the program? You have to make that decision for yourself. For the second round, the web-based interview, here, be honest again. I know it can be tempting to just pick, you think, the right answer to what they're gonna want or what's gonna sound good to them, because you pretty much get judged on that interview. However, if you lie and put like that you're all these things that you're not, and you would respond in all these ways that you wouldn't, it's honestly just going to be a miserable experience for both you and Disney, because you're not going to be a good fit for the program. Ultimately, in that second round interview, they are trying to pick people who are a good fit for the Disney culture and creating Disney magic and for the program. And if you're not a good fit, but you lied and pretended you are, you're just going to run into problems in the future. So just be honest. For the third round, the phone interview, this is by far, yes, the most nerve-wracking, because you're actually talking to a person, and it's like the final barrier to get of whether you're going to be accepted or denied. So some things here is just to plan like you would any other interview. If you research the role, research the program, like just know about Disney, just do your research like you would a normal job application. I would also do specific research on the roles that you selected, because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they will ask specific questions about that role. For example, when I applied, I put character attendant as one of the roles that I was interested in, and they asked me a situation of, if this happened in that role, how would you respond? Now, that was only one question. Most of my questions were just, your strengths, your weaknesses, why you're interested in the program, kind of the basic questions. But sometimes they will do role-specific questions, so I would kind of know the role, and if you go Google, like, Disney College Program interview questions for blank role, stuff's going to come up most likely, so you can kind of research some common questions. And don't have like a 20-page long list of every single question, but just kind of maybe spend 10-15 minutes just going through what some of those answers would be. I would also say to smile and to stand up during your interview. I know that might sound silly, but sometimes when we're sitting, we can fidget or we can like hunch, but if we're standing up tall and we're smiling, that kind of puts us in a good posture, and they can honestly hear your smile. I was watching an interview actually with one of the recruiters, and she says they want to hear your smile in the interview, and you can tell. So even if you're nervous, the minute that phone rings and you pick it up, just put that smile on, and that will help you talk more enthusiastically and just show your passion for the program. And my last little tip is to put your favorite Disney quote on top of your paper. Hopefully when you did research, you made a little cheat sheet or a little research paper of just some questions you want to ask them, or just some things you want to point out, and the preparation that you've done. Put your favorite Disney quote up there, because I promise you, if you look nervous, you can just kind of look down and remind yourself why you want to do this program and why you love Disney. One more little bonus tip, I will just say, I know it's so nerve-wracking, but just relax, take a deep breath, and realize that you're talking to Disney. You apply for this program because you're passionate about the company, and you're passionate about making magic, and you're passionate about the program. So let that passion shine and show through, and just be yourself, because ultimately that's who they want to hire, not some fake person that you've just created. So take a deep breath, relax, and just have fun with it. And last but not least is going to be, once you apply for the phone interview, it is just waiting to see if you get accepted or not. So I'm going to kind of break down the acceptance process a little bit here. So acceptances come in what they call waves. And this means they're not just going to send out one acceptance at a time, because you'll be notified through your email and through your Disney dashboard. Once you apply, you have a Disney dashboard that you can constantly log into, and they'll say, you're still in consideration, or you've been accepted, or whatever the case may be. They'll also send you an email. And so in these ways, they will push out acceptances a bunch at a time. Now, I applied the very first day that it opened, and I think by the time my phone interview done, it was like a week and a half after the applications had dropped. And then I waited another 2 weeks before the first wave, and I was lucky I was in the first wave, so I didn't have to wait too much. I got my acceptance in the first round, but I still had to wait 2 weeks after the phone interview until that first wave came. Now, when the waves come, you can either hear three things. You can hear, yes, you're accepted, you are no longer in consideration, or what they call NLIC, or you hear no answer. And in this case, no news can be good news still. It just means they're still considering you. You're not accepted, but you're also not denied. So if you don't hear anything after a wave, it means you're still in consideration. You still can possibly get in. Unfortunately, obviously, if you receive NLIC, it means that you have been denied from the program. You can always apply the next year, but you're no longer in the running for this program you applied for. And then if you're accepted, you're accepted. There are various recruiters on Twitter. You can follow their accounts so they can give updates. Sometimes they like to hint, I feel a huge wave coming, kind of. They'll never outwardly say waves coming February 5th or whatever the date may be. They're not going to say that, but they can sometimes hint at it. There's actually a funny story. So one of the recruiters, Kirk, who unfortunately he did pass away, and that was like so heartbreaking to hear, but he did post that a wave was coming, and I checked, and that was when I ended up getting accepted. And I wanted to keep it a secret from my parents because I got accepted on a Tuesday, and so I was going home that weekend from college, and I wanted to surprise them at the front door with my acceptance letter. And so I went to log into my account though to like look at my acceptance letter, and something was messing up, and so I replied onto that thread on Twitter like, this isn't working, like what do I need to do? And my mom, who knew how to check Twitter to like look at the recruiters' accounts, she was trying to look for when a wave would come, and she actually went to the same post that Kirk said a wave was coming, and just like 4 comments below that, if she had scrolled down, was my comment saying like, I was accepted, but this isn't working, how do I look at my letter? And luckily she didn't scroll down, but I found out after I showed her, after I surprised them that weekend, that she had done that. And so I was like, you were literally 4 comments away from ruining the surprise and seeing that I had gotten accepted. But once you have been accepted, you'll get the congratulations email that looks like this, or at least that's what it did look like. I don't know if they'll change it obviously now. And then you will go into your Disney dashboard account where you'll see your acceptance letter. And here is where you will find out your role and your pay. Now the role will be general. It will just say, for example, attractions. It won't say what attractions or what park or anything like that, but you'll find out your basic role and how much you get paid. Now the majority of college program kids do get paid minimum wage. Some people, I believe, quick service food and beverage and entertainment make a little bit more. I'm not sure how much, but in general, it is minimum wage, which was higher in Florida than Texas. So I thought we were making more than minimum wage because minimum wage in Texas is like $7.25 and we were getting paid $10 an hour. So I thought I was making good money. And then my roommates told me that the minimum wage in Florida was only $10. I'm like, oh, okay. But it's honestly worth it. Like, I wasn't down there to make bank, and honestly, you don't do this program to make a lot of money. You do it for the experience. Once you have been accepted though, you do only have a limited amount of time to accept. I believe for me it was a week to actually go in to read the letter and make sure that's, sounds good, and click accept. Now, if you get a role that you're not happy with, you can't be like, oh, I want another role. It's either that role they hired you for or nothing. Okay, so that was it for the first video of the Disney College Program Basics and how to apply. Of course, if you have like any other questions, or if you've done the Disney College Program yourself and you have like insight to add to this, please put it in the comments below. I would love for this video to just be a great resource for anyone in all things Disney College Program. Next week's video, I'll get into you've been accepted, now what, and kind of the process leading up to arriving and the actual training once you get there. I hope this video helped you. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more Disney College Program videos. And I hope you go knowing that you are worth more than you know, capable of more than you think, and loved more than you can imagine. I'll see you guys in the next video.
You just gotta live.